I'm Eric Marchen, host of Cinema Scene, reporting on the Toronto red carpet premiere of Miss Sloane, starring Jessica Chastain, directed by John Madden, and written by first-time screenwriter Jonathan Pereira.
Lobbying is about foresight, about anticipating your opponent's moves and devising countermeasures.
Elizabeth Sloane has a lot of games that she's playing, a lot of paths she's on and people she's manipulating, and she's an expert chess player, and they say that in the film, and she's always looking at the strategies down the line. When you watch the film all the way through, you realize, like, okay, this was her long game, and you can go back and you can see her put her pieces into place. It takes a lot of research and preparation as an actor before getting into a scene, because you have to map all that out ahead of time.
For a lot of people, there'll be a sort of 10-minute period where they think, wow, this is going fast, I can't understand what they're talking about. It's called setup. Yeah. It's called learning an idiom that these people talk very fast, in shorthand, and very idiomatically, and a lot of pieces are put into place. And then at a certain point, something clicks in the film, and then you just are dragged straight through it, and you don't look back, and you're not aware of how fast the time is passing, because it just goes on replenishing itself.
John Madden is a guy who really knows how to make movies, and actors love him. He used to be an acting teacher at Yale, and so for those of us who trained as theater actors, John totally speaks our language, and he really honors the actor and our piece in it. Sometimes, you work on stuff and the actor feels like a piece of furniture or part of the set. John makes everyone in that film, everyone, from one line to Jessica, feel like they're a part of telling the whole story.
Being employed to watch Jessica do her work is a godsend. We got so close as a team. I'm so close with all of the lobbyists now, and even the ones that we ended up at Peterson Wyatt, we really feel like a family. And I think it's because we spent so much time together, and even with Jessica being the leader of our pack, she was so generous with her time, and just watching her work and her passion was really infectious for all of us. And then also being able to delve into, we got to do lobbyist boot camp together, all of us,
really? Which
was really amazing. Yeah, I think John arranged for real lobbyists from Washington to come in and speak to us, and man, was she a character, and did we learn so much.
John Pereira is like some kind of an anomaly. He's amazing. He's such a brilliant guy, and just wrote the story that it's mind-blowing. It's a crazy script, and it was, as an actor, it was kind of just reading these long chunks of crazy, all over the place dialogue, and you're like, all right, this is brilliant, but I don't know if I'm smart enough to catch up to this. So it took some time to kind of break it down, because it's so layered and so technical, but it's amazing. So yeah, I mean, of course, it's amazing that this is his first script, and I don't know, I can't wait to see what he writes next and comes up with next. But and I am available, Jonathan.
I think the ensemble that John put together, Mark Strong, Michael Stuhlbarg, Alison Pill, Gugu, who plays Esme, to me, she's the heart and soul of the film. My performance, I could do whatever my preparation was beforehand. I went to DC, I met with lobbyists, I went to Capitol Hill, I studied as much as I could about the subject, but it all depends on when I get on set, who I'm acting opposite of, and John really put the best of the best in there with me.
Was there anything that surprised you about sort of the deals that go behind closed doors, about being a lobbyist that maybe you didn't know going in?
Yeah. One thing that I was shocked by, and a congressman told me when I was in D.C., that he goes to 3 fundraisers every day, which is insane to me. He goes to a breakfast fundraiser, lunch fundraiser, and a cocktail or a dinner fundraiser. And you realize that when that's the case, the priority shifts from representing the people to raising campaign financing for your next election. And I would like it, and I think also, I know this congressman said he would much prefer if he didn't have to spend his time trying to raise money. And I think that's something that I didn't really understand, how much money was involved in politics until I actually went there.
I also had the chance to talk more about the film with director John Madden.
How the hell did she manage that?
You're a piece of work, Elizabeth.
Can you talk about finding interesting locations in and around Toronto, especially because you're masking it as Capitol Hill?
It's very, very, very key to the making of this film, actually, is location selection, because we're not a high-budget movie for various reasons to do with the finance of the film, because it's financed by a French studio. We were helped somewhat in the film by the fact that a lot of the film takes place in interiors, in offices, office space. We found some really... glass was an idea that the cinematographer and I fastened on immediately as the kind of a very appropriate texture, having to do with separation and transparency and lack of transparency and reflection and distortion and all of those kind of things. We found some fabulous locations to help us with that.
And this isn't the first time you've been here as well, because you shot some of Killshot in Uxbridge, of all places.
I did. It's absolutely right.
Can you talk about finding this script and what sort of really brought you to it?
It's a first-time writer. It turned out that he was a Brit of a, dismayingly young age from my perspective, living in South Korea at the time, and I read it. It was an astonishingly good read even then in that iteration. It's developed a lot since then, but it was a very striking script.
What was it about Jessica Chastain that said, this is the perfect actor for this lead role?
She's in a handful, really, of people who have that range of skills and that depth and that, I think, contradictory qualities that she brings to any role. It was not hard to see what her capabilities were. Even the first time I worked with her, was she was completely unknown. And so when I read this one, I wrote to her, literally as soon as I'd finished it, and said, "This is the script we should be doing." And she responded instantly.
The way that you shot the scenes with Dylan Baker and Michael Stuhlbarg, there's a great debate night, and it kind of almost felt like I was watching a boxing match between two people just sparring with words instead of fists.
It's the absolute key moment in the film, and as you say, it takes on a kind of visceral punch, and also an emotional punch that you're not expecting. It was one of the last things that we shot. It was literally the last day that Jessica was with us. And we really knew where we were with the film by that point. She was desperate to get that scene over, because in a scene a movie that's littered with huge set-piece scenes for her, with pages of dialogue, this one had more than any other because of what it was. You're watching a mediated narrative, something that is being consumed nationwide by an audience, but you're actually in the studio while it's being filmed, so you're aware of what's happening behind the mediated reality, and then there's a third reality of people in her team who are absorbing it and watching it. And it's unusual that.
We have to make it personal.
The word annihilate, it means reduce to nothing.